Alright, building a railroad. The double ditcher work train is outgrowth. The single ditcher train was evolved with the principle that a single ditcher train was good over two ditchers would be twice as good. With this method for dumping cars are filled with the same time required one ditcher or filled two double number flat cars that would be loaded with one ditcher, yet only one engine true crew are required. Cost of single ditcher work train, 2 automatic air dump cars, $3,500. Freight estimated above $250, 80,000 pound flat, $800. Ditcher 6,000. Freight estimated above $250, total 80, 10,080. And then it goes over prices, which are way out of the league, but Move sliding. Its material covered the track at the head of the American into the slide of the flat car, casting over the side of the hill. Through the cutout, material covered the track with the American can pick up the material in front of it and deposit either onto the flat car or the dump car in the rear. The dump car serves out admirably for the work, and it can be taken out with the end of the cut, dumped very quickly, and set back to the machine. Very little lost time. The maximum digging radius is 30 foot, 6 inches for the center of the track. They ample the room for the future slides without covering the work. The American will work right in the side of right in the slide under the power and standard gauge track of the clear to the boulders, trees, and snow, water, and other obstacles. Limit the efficiency of the hand crew. Little shovels or sport of the American. Narrow gauge Western purchased American Railroad 88-wheel MCB trucks, almost exclusively removing the snow slides from the cuts of the rotary snow plows with the displays for the American because of the rocks and boulders keep rotary out of commission most of the time, but the American did not mind in the least. Right-of-way ditching. In the design and evolution of the machine, the adaptation of the right-of-way ditching has been considered foremost of the most adaptive rather than detraction from its useful in many other directions. On the left, it shows the ditching right-of-way. Alright, your flat car work train, crew lineup, 1 operator of the American Ditcher, 1 fireman for the American Ditcher, 1 of the 2 laborers. 80,000 capacity flats must be provided with the same with the winding cuts. Lighter cars must be with the transported or the machine from place to place, but they will not stand under heavy right-of-way ditching. Underloading plow approved the type of the wire and cable steam. Unloader must be provided with the drifter and unloaded by hand. The spreader leveling is used with extensive work. The dump car work train crew lineup, 1 operative with the American Ditcher, 1 fireman with the American Ditcher. Water for the ditcher can be piped from the locomotive or water by using automatic couplers between the cars. Shows the making of a good ditch. General requirements after construction of the road. The American road ditcher will always remain the indispensable maintenance of the machine detached, ditching the cuts such so that the grade will remain high and dry. The American displays with the 50 to 150 laborers ditching the right of way, reducing the yard expenses, putting material for the cost of 20 cents to $150 per yard, but by the hand crew method to as low as 3 cents per yard with the American. The plunger of the boom point forces material throughout the dipper will not fall out of its own weight. Avoid use of the choke mouth type of the dipper. The common with all steam shovels to encourage the sticky material to fall out. When the flat car work train is used for the American travels over the cars of the portable track sections, which rapidly transfer one car to another, loading the train as it goes. It will dig any width of the ditch required for the minimum, approximately 3 foot to approximately 23 foot from the end of the ties, digging right up at the end of the ties of the desired. It will remain at a width of the shoulder or ballast berm required throughout the ditch. It will dig a shallow ditch required to the minimum depth of 4 foot 6 inches below the top of the ties. It will dig the curves as well, straight line maintaining a level of the grade of the ditch, absolutely line with the surface rail with the finishing ditch, and the cut will not undercut any slope. The American may commence loading from the either end of the flat car work train. The machine rests upon the portable track sections on the rear end of the first car with the boom toward the front end of the car. With the track section length of approximately 24 foot, the car length towards the end of the train, free take with the material to be loaded. The other second end of the track section laid with the second car of the rear of the rails of the 2 track sections, telescoping about 2 feet. Make a pass the dipper of the right hand operator side of the car, letting it cut in and fill with the digging just enough to fully nicely dump the dipper full in front of the first track of the section without letting the machine travel either forward or backward over the car. Slew of the boom back around the right and ready to make the next pass for the dipper, and pulling dipper back with the torque of the car means of pulling back the line through the cut and mating getting the first dipper full. This is easily accomplished without racing the boom, and the next cut will be made exactly the same grade on or level as the first pass of the dipper. As the dipper is pulled back toward the machine, that is commenced with the next cut with the pass of the teeth clear the crown surface. Let the machine travel forward just enough to permit the dipper to fill as it did before going into the material directly on the left side of the front pass that just made. The amount of travel on the car is starting the dipper into the material will vary from 6 foot to 2 feet, 6 inches to 2 feet, depending on the length of the pass and material necessary to fill the dipper. In other words, how deep the dipper is digging, the pass of the dipper is usually diagonally to the car instead of the right angles on most, and the machinist will not back away from the work in the heaviest digging unless the operator desires to do so. Continuing digging and dumping as before, when machines reach the front end of the portable track section, the materials already removed will leave the even grade of the depth established for the commencing the cut of the car will load with the front end of the track section up to the front end of the first car. It will be necessary to propel the machine back up to the second track section, swing the front of the track section to the rear ready to load the material for the car where the first section had lain. The locomotive then spots the train, signals the dispatcher or operator so that the ditcher is ready to commence digging right where they left off. The dump material of the flat car in the front of it before the first trip through the ditcher does not dig down to the grade line of the ditch, but continue digging through the cut above the described up until the grade line and maximum depth of the ditch is reached. It is readily seen that fixing the boom at the given height maintains the desired shoulder line and the depth of the ditch. It is advisable to dig and work forward on the right-hand operator side of the machine, because the operator thereby obtains the unobstructed view of the work, and working opposite side of the track. Digging is done with the opposite direction of the track from this just described. The method of dumping the car is the same exact. Transfer of portable track section is eliminated after filling the dump car with the digging with the operator's right side of the track. The advisable to slew the boom around and dig the opposite side of the track and fill with the second dump car. This is always done the regular right way of ditching because the operator gets a better view of the work, and however it does a wide side where side hill work or other condition may be necessary to dig and load the operator's left hand side, it can be done. Alright, grading the side of the track. Necessity building of the side track is ever present with a greater or less degree on all railroads. The American railroad ditcher meets the emergency as readily as does all others. Crew lineup on one operator for the American ditcher, one fireman for the American ditcher, one or two laborers. Suggestion of widening the cuts and right-of-way ditching will apply with the subject generally with the way of the grade of the side track. Track will either be by making cuts and make fills. Suppose the material is either being removed by the side track to the grade level with the main line track for the purpose of the laying the side track, put either the flat car, dump car, work train with an American ditcher loading material onto the cars, dumping it in the usual way. If the second, third passing the track is desired to lay the track on a new grade after putting the American and the work of the train, the new track proceeds as before. If the working side of the cut and the material is not needed elsewhere and may be cost or material cost over, can be used as a side advantage for the flushing out of the grade and widening of another track on the outside of the main line. Alright, on your left side you see a grading of the side track. On the top of the left-hand corner of the second page you see a widening cut from the side. General comments and general remarks. In widening a cut from the side track, the ditching purposes proceeds as follows. If useful, flat car, work train, locate the American on the portable track section on either end of the train. Loading the cars exactly explained on the right-of-way ditching. Dump cars are easily already described. To show that the grade on the scale of 1/16 and a foot equals 1 foot, and 4 foot and 18 ditch from the American ditcher cutting a grade line of the side track. Assuming there is a little force face working against the end of the ties, making the first cut through the range of the lower boom until the dipper remove the material dot onto the grade line. Set the boom at about 65 degrees angle with the front end of the car. Operator's right hand side while the dipper was just clearly at ends of the tie, but then working through the material as described. The right-of-way ditching. This will remove the material with the grade line 4 foot 2 inches from the ends of the ties. If the height of the face of the material increase of the machine digs out from the track, it will be necessary to raise the boom and thereby raising the digging the radius dipper for the making next cut through the boom of the digging radius of the dipper be lowered until the grade is reached. The degree of the angle of the car, the height of the boom, which of the boom is set after for the first cut, that depends on the length of the path necessary for the fill of the dipper, governed by the height of the face, nature of the material, and also ability of the operator in widening of the cut. The boom will be finally turned out to the right angle of the car under the dipper will dig a grade level without undercutting the approximately 20 feet from the center of the track with which the machine is working that provides nicely for the laying of the side track with a 14-foot center. Do not try to take material down to go in to the required distance of the track center one setting of the machine without moving the forward each path of the dipper. It is done with a flat car work frame. The material accumulates until it runs over the side of the cars, after which it's necessary for the machine travel forward to the dump the dipper, traveling back to dig where the dipper before. Aside from this, dipper fills better with the allowed to be cut with the fill gradually gracefully even past it's just clear slope of the cut material nicely when it fills. If desired, winding cut, the American can set down the standard gauge passing truck on its portable track section with which it transfers itself and may be either handed into the face of the cut, which is right angle with the track, out of the other track material from the cutting whose face of the parallel to the track and load in the material. Cars on the flat car's main track. The method has been fully explained with the making of the cut straight seam shovel to work. It is filled with the required material can be barreled at the side without interfacing with the feature of the requirements with more than side tracks. Observe the following method. Alright, set the American downside of the proper distance for the main track after the volume of material dumping the new grade nest to the main track. As fully explained with the making the fill for the American will dig enough material on one side to make the following fill. A depth fill of 5 foot 6 inches, width of the top, a 14-foot slope to 1 to 1. The American has excelled with the steam shovel because it has been taken any place for the up and down or dry with the wet place. The steam shovel must be handled with care at all time. The outriggers are required with the American to get the greatest reach and digging depth with extreme dumping height at the maximum distance permitted for the digging and delivering of the much greater amount of the material on the grade than the steam shovel. Alright, the larger system. The American Railroad ditcher will pay for itself with actual money saving on many of the comparatively small jobs. Some pose for their short extension may be citing the industry to be put in must be done quickly. The American completes the job in the time ordinarily taken by the contractor and simply getting started. During the session of the slides, the preview prevailed for the division pointing keeping the American ditcher ready to steam up quickly and shut out with the cleanup of the side of the traffic not to be delayed. The engineer of the largest western road that handles the heavy passengers and freight work heavy freight traffic wrote us about this incident of this kind. The American ditcher was brought into the place as quickly as possible. In less than 6 hours, the slide was cleared and undoubtedly will have taken days and handled in any other manner. Traffic was only slightly delayed. One railroad did it so well that the first American ditcher with the building grade with the labor was hard work for getting any price for the install. The second on the other end of the line, nose headed toward each other. An extra American ditcher too comes into handy with the large system, the same with the additional locomotive with the other equipment. On the Southern Railroad has installed 9 American railroad ditches from the both construction and maintenance work in less than 12 months on one of the larger Eastern system. After trying 2 Americans, purchased 5 more Americans, 1 clip. Alright, smaller roads. The requirement of the smaller road are just consistent with those of the larger line, but often less of the volume and degree of the individual class of the work. An individual pile drive steam shovel, the locomotive, of the crane may be necessary for the requirements of a large line, while the American would be perfectly ample to those of the smaller railroad. Then when 3 times the investment with the American Railroad ditcher will do all and more than 3 or more separate machines or without having them all investing in one. The American will build the railroad in stem stern, then maintain it in very flexible adaptation auxiliary use. It can go up to the flat car, and if it's on the ground, shut out the train speed without one operation to another. When it reaches the next job, it's ready to do whatever is required, which cannot be said with the regular pile driver, steam shovel, or locomotive crane. But reducing the investment is not much of the most appealing feature. This thing's done quickly and easily without a loss lots of extra labor refusing around. Think of the number of the labor that is displaced, often harder to get any price. This is not only the satisfaction saving and the greater relief of the many of the smaller railroads located considerably distance from labor markets would find it almost impossible to get labor when wanted at any price. Alright, the logging room. If you were possible, the American applied with one of the classes of work with for then another in the logging operation. Aside with having more than less mainline with the logging spurs as being the most continuously in their track of the relay and relay, the driving of the logs to the middle of the great extent of the thing of the path of the log road must be go to the logs. They won't come to it. The rough country must be passed over with a minimum mileage. Every fraction of the percent of the maximum grade means increased fuel and greater upkeep of the cost of the train equipment, overkeep of the greater danger of the derailment and accidents going up in grade and hard. Everybody going down is dangerous. With an American on-the-job cuts filled that can be made with the less ultimate expense, the Southern Logger Railroad recently built 300-foot long, 4-foot high, getting out of the material from the side, but keeping the machine from the grade. For 3 days it rained almost continuously. They were unable to get their trackmen to work, but their American went right through the handling dirt, so the clay was so soft, sticky that the hand crew could not have handled it anyway. The machine seemed to handle the better when they were material was dry. There are over 300 Americans scattered throughout the country loading logs exclusively. This machine can may be used as a portable section, either standard flat cars, logging trucks, 2-section on the flat cars, 3-section on the logging cars. It can also be used as permanently rail cars, special logging loading boom, slack accelerator, feeding the line out of the tongs bin can be furnished with a slightly increased facility log loading if it's done extensively. However, the dipper and the dipper arm can be quickly removed from the boom. Furnished with a standard ditch equipment and other material may be readily handled to shovel the boom. Nothing approaches the useful efficiency of the machine scraping up along the right of way with the light reckoning with it works freely with a full circle without the chair of the car. Chaining to the car. Ample provisions is made with the chaining with the car to the track from the emergency for the highest level, from the heaviest lifts. The average logging operation does without locomotive, crane, steam shovel, the record because of the expense of the but in American they have them all. Alright, the auxiliary uses. This show the grab bucket and the coal handling work. Auxiliary means helping and aiding, assisting in the American Railroad District with taskmaster with a high degree and exemplifying the means of the fullest extent of the railroad logging and contracting operation. Its machine never lost. When the American on-the-job investment notably reduced the general efficiency over every plant of the grant increase, the things left undone are attended to between the times instead of the work pushing them, then they are pushing it and getting more and better results all the time, all along the lines at least cost. The organization is kept with us less effort, the fewer men with a higher and fire, more to the done, but the proverbial 3 crews do not have to be provided with one coming, one going, one on the job, and one on the job of the size quality then can be controlled at all time. One can well affordably employ with a man that require a better caliber, feel confident in getting things done and well they should have been. Alright, on the top right-hand corner, you see a few American shunts, a few American stunts. And among the many appealing times, money-saving auxiliaries, the Americans are pile driving, light wrecking, steam shovel the work, locomotive crane work, emergency ditching, slide removal, coal, gravel, riprap handling, log loading, bridge building work, cleanup, train work, traveler erecting, raising bridges, etc., rail loading, unloading, track laying, relaying, material tied, timber lay handling, grab bucket work. Because of the auxiliary uses, efforts can be concentrated one job cleanup of all the parts of it quickly, and other jobs so can be started and finished in the same way. With American on the job, many things can be done with the left undone before. And your last page here is in question investment results pure and simple. It is easy to quickly and pay extra labor and make extensive equipment to carry out the investment in the American Railroad District for several years. One of the Western general managers saved the cost of the price for the American in 2 weeks, keeping the road open off the hand crew of 200 men had utterly failed. He said, "I would not take $25,000 for it if I could not procure another." The American made it good in very pronounced manner. The large southern contractor track laying alone. Before it had any opportunity trying to anything else that they had said, it may more than you claim for it. And then they say, it's a good deal. $10,000 would not buy it if we could not get another. American said it saved $1,000 in cold hard cash of building a mile road on a northern line. And that goes in the table of contents, and the rest is blank.